Hi guys, Squirrel here, and welcome to another Euro Truck video. This one is a mod review. It's a mod review of the Ford F-Max mod. Now this is a mod that is just released in version 1. In fact, as you watch this video, it should have just been released on the website, and I'll leave a link to the mod in the video description. It's a completely free mod. It is version 1, so it is a little bit limited in places, but I do think it's a high quality mod, so I thought it was worth showing you and bringing it to your attention. So let's jump in the configuration and have a look around. Now you'll find this truck in the mod dealership, which means you don't access it via the normal truck dealers. Instead, what you do is click on truck dealer and then go to the bottom right here and click on access mod dealer. And you should see the Ford name there and then the actual Ford F-Max here. Click on configure and off you go. Now some people have said to me that this truck looks like a cross between a Scania and a Volvo. Personally, I think it looks more like a cross between a DAF and a Volvo. I can see sort of DAF elements in the radiator and the actual body side of things. I can see a bit of Scania on the mirrors, but I can definitely see some Volvo here. Volvo obviously have an accented LED line there. They don't have this upper one. Interestingly, on this truck, I believe that upper line there, that upper LED, is used for the indicators. It's not just a white color, but we can take a look at that later. Now, this truck, as I said earlier, doesn't have a huge amount of configuration options. It is only version 1, but it does have some pretty high quality modeling and texturing. For instance, you can see under the wheel arches here, they've gone to the trouble of putting, a reasonable amount of engine-based stuff. One thing I have noticed, though, is the distinct lack of exhaust, like on either side. There are no up pipes, there are no side pipes, so it does make you wonder. I don't know. I haven't looked at the actual F-Max. I'm wondering if maybe it exhausts out underneath, and maybe that's the reason. Having said that, if you go to the side panel, I'm pretty certain it has some exhaust cutouts here, although actually no, I think they're just for the footsteps. So yeah, I'm guessing it exhausts underneath somewhere, which is different to most of the other trucks. Anyway, let's have a look at the options. So cabin. There aren't any options around the cabin. This is the only cabin that you get. It is a sleeper cabin. It does have space up here for storage. In terms of the chassis options, though, there are some options here. Now, if you look at the truck, you can see it's obviously built for long range. It comes with two quite large tanks on it. There is a lowered version that you can click on, which shrinks the size of the tanks down and does lower the truck. The problem with lowered trucks that I have is that you then run into problems later when you want to actually connect it to trailers and stuff. So I generally go with the normal ride height. There is another option here for spare wheel, which replaces that tank with a spare wheel. Aesthetically, it looks good, but personally, I would always take the extra fuel, and cut down on the refueling. In terms of engines, I believe the Ford F-Max only has one engine, and this is it, the 500 brake Euro 6, 2,500 Newton meters of torque. It is a good engine, though. It does sound good, and it does pull well. And when we take a little drive later, you'll get a sense of that. Transmission's the same. There's one option, 12-speed retarder. You're probably thinking, oh my god, look at this. I've got virtually no options in the first 4 tabs of this. As I say, it is version 1, and I think it tries to follow the truck quite accurately. So, but the transmission, the 12-speed retarder, is good. Like I say, it does pull very, very nicely. It seems to be geared. The gear spacing seems to be good. I had no problem hauling with this. Interior-wise, the interior, as you can see, is... well, it's very well modeled. The texturing is very, very high quality. Look at the wheel stitched aspect here and the plastic nature of it. Down here, you can see the texturing on the mats. It's actually, it's a really pleasant place. There's no configuration option in terms of the color, but what is here is very nice. There's the 3 storage boxes I told you about. You've got your sat-nav multimedia going on here. Some drawer spaces down there. Instrumentation, we'll get to that when we actually fire the truck up, but I do like this instrument panel. It is different to most of the trucks, and it is quite intuitive and nicely laid out and colored, but we'll take a look at that in a minute. This does function as a sat-nav, but there are other options here. GPS small, which I'm actually not sure what that does, unless it just shrinks the actual scaling. And then there's multimedia, which I assume just allows you to play music through it via your the music folder. In terms of paint schemes, it does come with a reasonable amount of paint schemes. Some of them are really nice, like that tar red I really do like. There's a black and a grey, which looks pretty decent. Various blues. Sporty reds don't look so great, like these colours here I don't particularly like. There's also some special ones, like the FIA Euro Truck Racing Championship, which for some reason I think they've got the colours the wrong way around. Bear in mind, by the way, I'm using a pre-release version of this mod, so by the time this releases, they may have fixed some of these things. But if you click on that and slide the colour away, already you can see it looks a lot better. They shouldn't have put the white there. That should have been over here, I think. There's also another one, an ETRC, and there's a Truck of the Year one, again with the same colour problem. There we go. So yeah, Truck of the Year 2019, apparently. Ford F-Max. Who knew? Who knew, eh? Also, finally, there is a another skin if you want to get it. It's in Paulie's workshop. Paulie's done his thing and created a little Halloween-esque skin. So if you wanted something to drive on Halloween, maybe you want to go for that. Let's stick it back onto the red option just for now, and we'll go through some of the configuration options up here. Now, there's quite a few dots, but it is a little bit deceiving. There aren't that many options, to be fair. We'll start up at the top here. This one, the accessory at the top. I think this is bugged at the moment because when you click on it, there's actually no beacon light appears at all. Whether the interior light works, I haven't tested, but in terms of putting a beacon on here, you pretty much can't do it at the moment because they don't work and there's nowhere else to do it. If you click on this option here, this alters the spoiler. It starts with the low, then it goes to a low 2, and then it comes up to a mid, I believe, and then I think it goes to high, and then top. Yes, I remember the right order. So they're just progressively increased angles of spoiler deflection. Next option is the light bar. Only 2 options here. No short bar. There's no short bar version at all. I would have liked to have seen a short bar version. Instead, what you get is this, and then a slightly wider version of it. But notice there are no dots on the rear part of the bar, which is a bit disappointing because it would be nice to be able to put air horns up here or beacons, that kind of thing. So I think that's something they should look at adding. You get 5 dots here. It is compatible with all of my kind of light mods, so you can go to town on configuration of lights. But as I say, you know, you can't put your air horn, which normally I'm used to having dots here to put some horns on or beacons in lack of the beacon working. But otherwise, pretty decent light bars. Again, also would like some painted versions of the bars. That would be great. Moving down, we have the sun visor. We have a standard and a custom. The actual truck comes with a template if you want to make a skin for it. It comes with a template for this. And if I remember, it comes with a template for the actual sun shield as well. So you can customize what goes here. I think there's a default one there. There you go, official truck. So you can put something here like, you know, your name or Jeff and Tracy or whatever takes your fancy. Mirrors. Now there are lots of mirrors with options on each one, but there's nothing to do. Like there's no configuration option and no ability to remove it. Same thing on the actual main mirrors, same thing on the side mirrors. So again, there's dots here, but it doesn't do anything. It is compatible with the flag DLC, so you can put flags on it if you want to. And then moving further down, there's the driver's plate, which you can see already is compatible with SISL mods. The whole truck is compatible with SIL accessory mods. So if you have those installed, you'll be able to, for example, put the telepass on that side. Moving down onto the front grille, this is where it gets a little bit disappointing for me in terms of options. I like to be able to configure this part of a truck, and if I click on it, I really only have one option, and that is to put a white top grille. So I can either have it as black or as white. There is an equivalent lower half like this, but it's difficult to find colors of truck that actually work particularly well with this white aspect, especially given that there's no option to change the black radiator on the front. Like, you can't color this at all. If I could color this the same as the truck or change its colors in some way or even modify this color, I could make things work. But as it stands, it's kind of hard to find something apart from a white color, I guess, that works reasonably well with the white trim, which is a disappointment, really. Like, you can see that it says F-Max on it just there. So generally speaking, I would tend to stay with the black version of this, which looks okay, but not spectacular. You probably saw the option down here. This is the lighting. So you've got the standard lights and you've got the xenon lights. So you've got a choice of those two. And finally, down at the bottom, you've got a custom plate. It seems to come with like Hungary, Russia, Turkey, that kind of things. Just some custom styling on the plate. No option for a bar down here. No option to change the mud sorry, the foot stand. There's no options here either. Funnily enough, this truck only has one foot plate. Normally they have a second one here. So I don't know if that door actually opens a bit lower down and there's another one inside possibly. I'd have to see inside, but just something I noticed. Over the wheel arch, there's no option to change that black element there, which would have been nice to have. And also around the window sides, and I have fed this back to the developer actually. I have said to them, you know, it'd be really great if you could actually color that in, because if you actually skin this with a proper, like, you know, livery, you can't really do much with this. If you've got a logo that spans that area there, it just gets completely chopped off by this part of it. And again, all this round here would have loved to have seen coloring and styling, maybe a stone guard there. It is version 1 though, so I'm not complaining. It's more of a wish list than a complaint. It's just the kind of things I've, you know, little creature comfort dots that I've come to like over these kind of mods. Down the side, one option, and that is to have a paintable side plate or not. That's it. So you can either show the internals or you can completely cover them up. This is skinnable, so your skin can just work nicely down here. And yeah, that, as I was saying here, this here, these elements that are cut out, I'm not sure if they're correct. I had thought there may be the step points is what they're supposed to be, so you can climb on the back of the truck, but they don't seem to line up with any steps, which makes me wonder about the whole exhaust system once more. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, to be honest, but we'll just ignore that for now. There's another dot back here. This puts rear mud guards or fenders over the back, and these are not paintable. So I would like to have an option here to extend the painting all the way through. And then finally, there's an option, if I can find it, there it is, for the mud flaps. The mud flaps, you've got the standard extended mud flaps and mud flaps with little reflectors on the bottom. That takes care of all the the exterior styling, apart from this interior dot here. Like I say, it's not a tremendous amount of styling, but you can make a truck. It is a pretty truck, let's face it. It's a nice looking truck, but you just can't customize it too heavy on version 1. Let's jump inside and have a look around. No options on the steering wheel, although you can use the steering wheel accessories if you want to. And of course, SISL stuff here. You can add, excuse me, you can add another sat-nav on the window, but I actually found that one worked pretty well. There's actually an option to add a sat-nav over here. Is it that one? Yeah, there you go. So you can actually add a sat-nav over here, and then you could configure that one there to be multimedia, say, if you wanted to roll that way. Or you could even have it over here and just turn that one off. It's your choice, but I ran it like that, and it was perfectly fine. Down here, you've got an accessory dot on the lower part of this. You know, it's difficult to see what you can put here that actually works pretty well. I would have liked to have a dot in the cup holder, so I can actually put a cup in here. But, you know, it's a bit of a weird place for a dot, that one. Down here, this is pretty standard. Normally you put a bag or something down here, or some cleaning products, or maybe even a pizza. And then on the seat, same thing. You can put what you like here. There are the options to have the SL stuff, so you can put, you know, random people in the passenger seat. And then again, you know, there's lots of dots on the window, which I personally never use for all this pennant stuff. And then up here, one of them is the hanging item. There you go. So you can have a hanging item as well. That completes it pretty much for the interior dots. We've done the back wall one. That dot here is an external one. There you go. So that is a sum total of the configuration, but I think you'll agree it's a pretty nice cockpit to be in. Like you've even got a seatbelt. So what we'll do now is we'll jump outside, start it up, and you can hear what it's like. We'll take it for a drive, and you can see how this thing actually looks when it's on the road. Right, so here we are. We're in the truck. We're going to drive down to the quarry and pick something else up. Let's get it started so you can actually hear what this thing sounds like. Now, it sounds like a nice purring engine. However, it does sound to me like not quite a diesel engine, and it revs quite highly. I'm used to something that ticks over at a much kind of lower RPM and sounds a little bit like it's the diesel knocking sound. So it does seem to purr quite well when you put your foot down. Now it sounds like a proper diesel. In fact, it sounds like a real heavyweight grunting kind of engine. So despite having no visible exhaust, it does sound very good. Let's put the lights on. Now, have a quick look inside the wheel arch and you'll see what I mean about the internals there. You can see how they've gone to the detailing on the inside is pretty good. There's no actual steering rod that I can see, which would have been a nice thing to add, but I'm quite happy with what they have put on the inside of the wheel arches. And again, externally, I think the truck looks pretty decent when you've got it all configured up with the wheels and stuff. Let's jump inside, and I'll show you what I mean about this cockpit. Now, the one thing I don't like about this truck is the mirrors. Like, the whole design of the mirror is just not to my taste. You've got this kind of rounded, offset kind of reflector look, and particularly just looks like a lot of wasted space and very, very odd. The mirror does work very effectively, well, at least on the left side it works effectively, but the actual styling is not to my taste. On the right, there's a problem with the mirrors in my version of this vehicle. If I go to the actual mirror adjustment, you'll see what I mean. I can't configure the mirror so that it actually points down the side of my vehicle. You can see it's got this weird, I think it's just a bug. I think this is like got the wide angle from that one. So when I try to bring the mirror in, I can't, there's literally, you can't see anything down the side. So when I try and overtake or change lane, I can't see what's going on down there. But like I say, I think that's probably just a pre-release bug. In terms of the lighting and stuff in here, I do like this dash. Let me just freeze my track IR a second. There you go. So on the top left, you've got the gauge for the engine temperature. Then you've got the fuel gauge. Then you've got the AdBlue gauge. And then I think that's the oil gauge. And then underneath, if I press the I key, it goes through various options of, you know, brake pressure, instant fuel consumption, various stats, turbo boost. Like that. And then the trip computer, which shows your remaining, about how much fuel economy you're getting and that kind of thing, what your cruise control is set to. It is nice. I like this. On the left, of course, is the RPM gauge. You'll see there's the green zone, so that's the kind of fuel efficient zone. And then there's the maximum torque zone, the blue zone, and then of course engine braking, red zone over there. And then on the right, you've got a very clear kilometers per hour display. So I do like that dashboard because it's different and the numbers are still clear. On some of the trucks I've driven, you know, I think probably the MAN, the speed numbers are so small that it's very hard to read them from a distance back here. Happily, not the case with this truck. You can see over there the sat-nav is fully operational, and if you press the comma key, it will cycle through various sat-nav options. In terms of driving, oh, one thing, keep your eye on the brake handle there. Actually, if I just turn it to the light, so you can see it a bit better, there you go. Keep your eye on the brake handle. Nice little bit of animation, that. I was quite impressed by that. They've gone to the trouble of making that look pretty decent. But yeah, pretty good truck to drive, isn't it? Let's hook up to a trailer. I've got a nice heavy trailer down here, and we're going to drag it out the quarry and see how this thing performs. If you want a nice climb, just go to Iceland. Obviously, you need to have pro mods to go to Iceland, but if you don't have pro mods, why? Anyway, here we go. So there's a nice little climb here. We're hauling, I think it's 27-ton dump truck, as you can see. It's quite a beast. Remember, this thing's got 500 brake. Let's get rid of that. There we go. 500 brake horsepower. So at the moment, we're in the green zone. We're in 5L. We'll drop it to 4L, that puts us into the blue zone, it's the power band, and we can quite easily just hold 2,000 RPMs right there. You know, it's not the steepest road in the world. There are other steep roads in Iceland, but they tend to be covered in snow, and then you get friction problems. This one is a favourite road to go. I've just got it locked in cruise control. We'll just see if it manages to maintain. There we go. I think the wheels are starting to slip because we've gone onto like this slippy, slushy kind of surface. But you can see the road is about to get really, really steep, so we'll just get ready on the gears. There we go, down to 3L. And you can see the RPMs are increasing. So we know we've got some more capacity. Now here we end up with a wheel slip problem because of physics. We actually need to have chains on the tyres really, but the truck is hauling. The truck is hauling no problem at all. You can hold at 2000, just back off of the throttle, there we go. And there we go. Up into 4, no problem. So you can see the height that we've just gained up a slippy road. You might think that 500 engine isn't that powerful, but it really is. It's 2,500 Newton meters. And like I say, I've had no problem hauling things with this truck with that engine and that transmission, and that's in manual. Automatic's completely different, of course, but it does drive very well, this truck. It is version 1. I know the guy who, or the team that built it, I think they're a Turkish team, and they're very proud of this truck and the work they've done. And you know, for version 1 of a free mod, I think this thing is some good work. There are a couple of bugs, and there's a few things that I would love for them to add. But other than that, this is definitely one to give it a try. It's definitely worth installing. I will leave a link to this truck in the video description, and I do suggest that you give it a go. That's it for this little truck review, guys. Until the next video, take care. Happy trucking.